off on that, and we got a lot of our people in the Hebrew Israelite community practice polygyny too. So we just give us what the Lord put in us and how we look at polygyny and the spirit He put on us to go about it according to the scriptures. Who was the first one that did polygyny? The first one who did polygyny was in Genesis, Lamech. And if you look at the type of person Lamech was evil. He was from the seed of Cain. Lamech was evil, and for a person to start polygyny, to start the multiple wives, it came from an evil spirit. So something you want to add to that?
Yeah, when Yahuwah made Adam and Eve,
yes.
he made him one woman. You know what I'm saying? He could have taken two ribs out of Adam and made him two women. You know what I'm saying? But he made him one. And so I also want to point out that's very important because, that was it was perfect. It originally was perfect, of course, until they fell. It was perfect. It originally was perfect, of course, until they fell. It was perfect. It originally was perfect, of course, until they fell. I know a lot of people are just like, well, Eve was the one that sinned and stuff. Well, I mean, if there was two women there, both of them would have failed. Both of them would have did the same thing. I know a lot of people are just like, well, Eve was the one that sinned and stuff. I know a lot of people are just like, well, Eve was the one that sinned and stuff. Well, I mean, if there was two women there, both of them would have failed. Both of them would have did the same thing. You know what I'm saying? Well, I mean, if there was two women there, both of them would have failed. Both of them would have did the same thing. You know what I'm saying? Well, I mean, if there was two women there, both of them would have failed. Both of them would have did the same thing. You know what I'm saying?
And you can't add to that. You know what I'm saying? That's what Christ was trying to bring it back to the whole time. And the kings, they love to lose. Everybody love to use David and Solomon as examples too, but you can't use them as examples because Deuteronomy 17:17 said you was supposed to multiply your wives. So you can't use them as an example. And then on top of that, David already had like 10, 11 wives before he even got with Bathsheba. So it's like, he was never satisfied with the women because he still wanted more. And we know what that led to. That led to adultery, a murder. It led to sexual immorality. It led to the whole nine. Yep. So these examples, and even with Solomon, even with King Solomon, a lot of people don't look at it. I suggest everybody go back and read First Kings. You really read the context of it because before he fell into the idolatry, a lot of people need to look at how the kingdom was getting built and how he built the kingdom. He built the kingdom with one woman. He built the kingdom with one Egyptian. He took Pharaoh's daughter as an alliance, and he married one woman, and she was a Gentile. He built the kingdom with one woman, and then he failed once he started dealing with multiple women. That's when he failed. So a lot of people need to look at these examples, man, and be better than that.
I want to give all the praises and the honor to Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai Bahashem, Recha Ha Kodash. That's all praises Yahweh to the Heavenly Father, Bahashem, in the name Yahweh Shai, Yahweh Shai, He is the deliverer. In the name Bahashem of the Holy Spirit, right? Also double honors to the elder apostles and elder bishops of Great Millstone, honors as well to you, brethren. Salute to you other elders scattered abroad and the brothers who's making up the ministry, and you sisters as well who support the truth, and you fellow believers of the faith. Anyway, I want to go into this video with this guy here. This is what happens, and we got to be careful when you dudes, well, let me say you brothers. I'm talking about dudes like Jake, but we do try to warn the elect. When you brothers take up wives, right? Whether it's a single wife, multiple wives, because one wife, as you can see, can complicate things. It has nothing to do with multiple wives. Now, because we're in a feminist society, you'll have Israelite groups like such as IUIC who fights for that. I mean, they're nothing more than a Christian, based Israelite group. Now, you got women who will marry unto you and follow the faith just to pull you away. I actually witnessed it with a brother who's no longer in the truth. She was into the church. She linked up with the brother. He tried to convert her or whatever. She followed, all to wait for the fall. And then she was there to pick up the pieces. And then there she went. And there he went. You see? And this is a situation of that. This is how dangerous, as she brought out Eve and said he went off. She didn't read about Eve. This is the example. This is an example of Adam and Eve. That's the example. Anyway, let's go into this word polygamy. I don't have it up no more, but I looked it up. Oh, here it goes. In the 1590s, this is when this word kind of popped up. Now, we should understand with the German monk, Martin Luther, and the Roman Catholic Church Reformation, when they took things out of the Bible, took scriptures out, put them back in, and told us this is what we to do, because our heritage was of having more than one wife. But they wasn't having that when it comes to us. Now, you read Exodus, the 2nd chapter. I'm not going to get it, but you read it. It talks about King Ramses, the Pharaoh, who said, we got to stop these Israelites from multiplying, or yet they'll join up with our enemies and overthrow us. So this is the fear that's been going on over thousands of years. But anyway, let's go dive into the lesson, and let's see, is this to be true, right? So first, we're going to go to Genesis 2. Therefore shall a man leave his father and his mother, and shall cleave unto his wife. Yes, right? And they shall be one flesh. So any man that leaves his wife and his mother, he'll cleave, and it'll be one flesh. But even with a man, you had men who had wives, and then you had men who had concubines. You had men that had many wives. You had the top wife. You had the mistress, which was considered the first wife, right? And then you had wives. Let's go to Exodus. In fact, let's go to Genesis. I don't even have it up anymore. I did have it. Where the scripture says, let me see if I can find it. It says Genesis 9 and 7, right? And you, it says here, and you be ye fruitful and multiply, bringing forth abundantly in the earth and multiply therein. So there was times such as now. So let's go look up this word multiply, and then we'll go to the Deuteronomy 17 that he quoted, which he was completely off. It says, it's a whole lot of definitions to multiply, to become great, many, to become many, numerous, large, and large. I'm going to just go down to get to the point. To make, to do, respect, to transgress greatly, to increase exceedingly, to make great, to enlarge, to do much. So we're going to go down to the Strong's definition, primitive root, and to increase, to bring abundantly, an archer, right? Be an authority, to bring up, to continue, to enlarge, excel, exceeding, to be full, to make. Let's go all the way down to increase. All right. Here we go. To give, have, make use, many at a time. Many a time. Right? Any to be give to have. So the only way you're going to multiply, right, exceedingly, because that's what it says, a man, there's a reason why a man has so many sperm cells, right? There's a reason for that. If it wasn't for the hundreds of thousands or millions of sperm cells out of each man, then I don't think you would need a whole bunch of wives. Now, we do understand if a woman gets pregnant, she can no longer conceive, right? And this is where the other wives came into play. We're going to show examples. We even see with was it Jacob's brother Onan or whatever, where he had to go, or somebody's brother. It might have been Onan. I don't know, where he had to go lay with the woman, his brother's wife, and he pulled out. See, this is the Lord, man. The Lord said He's a man of war, and this is how I get down. And we're going to show you. We're going to go into more proof. We're going to go into more proof. Let's go to Genesis 5:1. This is the book of the generations of Adam. In the day God created man, in the likeness of God made he him, male and female. He created them and blessed them and called their name Adam. So you had male and female, and you would have multiplications of men. That's why more women were made than men. It's still a statistic that shows that. So now we're going to go to Deuteronomy, what he's talking about. 17, I think it's Deuteronomy 17. Deuteronomy 17 and 17. You got to read the whole thing, understand what's going on. And some of these jakes don't read commentary. They don't go into literature. They don't peel back the layers of the Bible. They actually do no study, right? They only see what they see, and that's it. It says, when thou art come, this is Deuteronomy 17 and 14, when thou art come unto the land which the Lord thy power giveth thee, and shall possess it, and shall dwell therein, and shall say, I will set a king over me. This is what this is explaining. As all the nations that they are about me, thou shalt in any wise set him a king over thee, whom the Lord thy God shall choose one of among thy brethren. So if you know the history of the children of Israel, we wanted to be like the heathens. We set up, we wanted kings. The Most High gave us Saul, right? And various other kings who was going to hell off. So this is why he said, I am the Lord your God. I am your king, right? He didn't want us to be like the heathens. Okay, so moving on. Among the brother that shall set a king over thee, thou mayest not set a stranger over thee, which is not thy brother. But he shall not multiply horses to himself, nor cause the people to return to Egypt. Now that's the key. Why did he say not multiply horses to himself? Because of Egypt. It wasn't nothing wrong with a king having horses. Did you see all the stuff Solomon had? And I dare anybody say that the Lord did not give that to him. The Lord said he was going to give it to him, right? For as much as the Lord has said unto you, ye shall not henceforth return no more that way, to Egypt, right? Neither shall he multiply wives to himself, that his heart turn not away. Now, why would his heart turn away, right? If these was all believing women. That's the problem. That's why your heart would get turned away. And today, if you're going down that same logic, a man shouldn't have any wife, as Paul said, because they all cause you to go off. Just as this Jake sitting here, going way off. He's smiling through the whole video. She's not. Wonder if anybody saw that. Neither shall he greatly multiply himself silver and gold. That's what it says. You mean to tell me kings are not allowed to have silver and gold? What's up with that? Did you see Solomon's temple? Did you see all the graven stuff that was in there and all the lions on the outside, the golden lions and whatever else? You see all the money and the silver and the bleachers and the walls? And you're going to tell me the Lord didn't set that up for Solomon? Come on. This is not making sense. Let's go, and we're going to show you. Let's go to let me see. Let's go to 2nd Esdras 4, or 1st Esdras 4, and 26. Now, see, it's all kinds of scriptures in here with Jake going off. It had nothing to do with a bunch of women. It has everything to do with women in general, whether it's a lot or one or not at all, right? But mostly the women. When you go to the time of Paul, we'll read that too. When you got Apostle Paul, what was going on in the churches, but I'll get to that in a second, Lord's will. First Ezra 4 and 28. Let me see, 4 and 26. It says, yea, many there that have run out of their wits for women and become servants for their sakes, right? Whether it's a bunch of them or one. Many also have perished and have erred and sinned for women, right? We see this today. Men are dying over one woman, not because they had 10 women, right? And now do ye not believe me? Is not the king great in his power? Does not all regions fear to touch him? Yet did I see him and Apame, the king's concubine, or Pame, the king's concubine, the daughter of the admirable Bardicus, sitting at the right hand of the king, taking the crown from the king's head and setting it upon her own head. She also struck the king with her left hand. Now, many might say, oh, this is the king's concubine. At the end of the day, this is one woman that's done this. This is not 100. At the end of the day, you got women today who's doing the same thing. They're taking Jake's crown and smacking them and putting it on their own head. Here we go with this example right here. This is what you see, right? 1 Kings 11. I'm just going to get to the point. This is going to King Solomon, who said, let me read it. But King Solomon loved many strange women, together with the daughter of Pharaoh, right? Well, wait a minute. The daughter of Pharaoh, everybody knew it was a king's right to have many women. Women of the is this something we know now that they didn't know back then when it came to marriages? Right? How come the divorce is so high here in Babylon today with one wife? Anyway, women of the Moabites, Ammonites, Edomites, Zidonianites, and Hittites. He wasn't supposed to love these heathens. Now, I wonder why it said these heathens here. This is what it says. Of the nations concerning which the Lord said unto the children of Israel, ye shall not go in unto them, right? Neither shall they come in unto you, for surely they will turn away your hearts. So what the hell does this have to do with multiple wives? He was saying this not to marry into those heathen nations because they will turn your heart. So if it wasn't about having multiple wives, why wouldn't he just say, don't marry no other woman because they'll turn away your heart? She loses on this one as well because she's proven that Eve is destructive. If you can't trust Eve, who can you trust, right? Anyway, ye shall not go in unto them, neither shall they come in unto you. For surely they will turn away your heart after their gods, right? Solomon cleave unto these in love. And 700 wives, princes, 300 concubines, and his wives turned away his heart. But it also spoke of the concubines, right? But it never said the concubines turned away his heart because they knew their role. It's the wives. I just wanted to state that part, right? But this Eve, she's practicing saying, well, see that they turn away your heart. This is with Eve. She not even holding Eve accountable with Adam. It's always Jake's fault, right? This is an example of how even one wife, one husband and one wife, a wife can destroy you just from one wife, right? And she said, well, what if it was two? Well, maybe if it was another righteous one there that would have helped correct the other one. Exodus 21 and 10. If a man take him another wife, this isn't a law. When did the Lord change? Then they say, well, Yeshua, which his name is Yahawashah, came on the scene and he changed it. No, because if that was the case, Why didn't Yahushua the Messiah even have one wife? Anyway, if he take him another wife, her food and her raiment and her duty of marriage shall not diminish at all. So some of you jakes who may have other wives, if you get another wife, you got to take care of that wife too. You got to stay up on the game. It's a responsibility. And they're saying it as though it was just a super privilege to have more than one wife. It would be in this society, but I wouldn't even count that as a privilege. Anyway, when Paul said that a bishop be blameless, the husband of one wife, that was actually going into the women, because the women would have multiple husbands. That's why he said the husband, the wife of one husband. That's what it was saying, the wife of one husband, because of all the adultery. The men was passing around the women was passing around the men, and they linked that the men that was passing around the women, they linked that to the practice of polygamy when the man had more than one wife. It was nothing wrong with a man having more than one wife. The problem with the man having more than one wife, he would give up his wives and pass them around. Now, there was Roman, if you go to the research, through the Roman doctrine, the one wife, if a bishop, and bishops have more than one wife, by the way, you can look that up. If a bishop wife died, they said in the practice that he wasn't to remarry again, right? So the Roman Catholic Church has took a page out of some of this. But let me read a little bit of commentary real quick, and I'll end this video to go into what Paul was saying, in case some of you people don't like to read. It says, Paul alludes to the incidents no longer looked upon shameful in Rome. He even, in his indignation at the laxity of the morals of the day, the cities caused of the women who reckoned their years by their husbands and by their counsels, women who had arrived at their 10th husband in 5 years and had 8 husbands. Among the Jews, we know polygamy was prevalent, right? It goes on down here to say, therefore, in the canons is that such persons only were to be entrusted with sacred offices who were in their marriage state had contented. So when a bishop must have been blameless, he wasn't to keep taking wives, because those wives that he was taking already had husbands. So to be blameless, he would have to leave. He would have to restrain in these churches for bringing more wives. This was things that was not necessarily in the law, but Paul was using what through righteousness, because we lost our heritage. We lost our way. We was practicing of the Romans. But in the actual law, you would have more than one wives, and the wives wouldn't be messing around. So this goes to the practice of the Israelite women who was adopted, the Israelite men and women who was adopted into Roman Greek tradition, who have applied it to the Judaism, so to speak. As we've always done, we've adopted other practices into the law, right? And this is what Paul was dealing with, since a lot of these people don't understand. He contented with one wife and one husband at a time, because they showed themselves temperance in sensual pleasures. Universally practiced polygamy in a manner because other nations, according to the determination, persons divorced each other unjustly, were guilty of adultery when they married themselves to others. This is man and woman, because such really had more wives and husbands than one at a time, as was the case with the woman in Samaria in John 4:18. Now, we got to ask the question, at Samaria, we all read the story of Jacob's well at the Samaria. Why did he get on that woman? Whether she's Israelite or not, why did he get on her? First of all, he got on her because she wasn't an Israelite, which he would have got on the Israelite as well. But it's because she was she don't have the law, but she was doing wickedness. That's why he said you have 5 husbands. Why didn't the Lord Yahushua, the one you call Jesus, Yeshua, whatever you call him, his real name Yahushua, why did he, in his stories, there's any story where he went up to an Israelite man and said, you have 5 wives. You have 10 wives. Clearly, these things was going on. So why don't you hear anything of that? You don't. Now, there's many more things to go into. I'm not going to go into Rachel and Bilhah with Jacob, right? We can go into that. We can go into all kinds of stories when men had more than one wife. You can even go to Numbers 31 when Moses told the men to take wives to yourselves. Remember that? In the book of Numbers? Was it Numbers 31? When he said, in Midian, when he said, take wives. Oh, here we go, right here. Now, therefore, Numbers 31:17, now, therefore, kill every male among the little ones and kill every woman that have not known man by lying with him. This is what the Lord is saying. But all the women, the children that have not known a man, the women that have not known man by lying with him, keep alive for yourselves. So that if it was 1,000 men, right, and there was 3,000 women, I wonder how this is going to work out. They got to take all the women that ain't lied with men, that laid with men. So it's 1,000 men, 3,000 women. I think it goes into it a little bit. So what was they supposed to do? Well, it's 3,000 women, so you know what? You stay over there. I'm only allowed to have one. Man, get the hell out of here.